Sadnam. We are Jen and Ramtin from Heart Center Revolution.
Our intention with this podcast is to share the best of Kundalini yoga and conscious living with you so you can live a more heart-centered life. Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Heart Centered Revolution podcast. This is a great episode. We have some awesome information for you. But before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to all of our listeners for your patience in us not having new episodes for quite some time. For all of your emails and messages, they mean so much to us. It means so much to know that what we're sharing is resonating and that, these teachings that have meant so much to us are having an impact on you as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are easily accessible through email at jen@heartcenteredrevolution or .com or ramtin@heartcenteredrevolution.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Heart Centered Revolution. And so we love connecting with you. The only downside of the podcast medium is I feel like you guys get to know us because you hear our voices, but we don't really get to know you unless you make an effort to introduce yourself. And we would love it if you did that. All right. So in this episode, we are going to talk about how we as human beings, as spiritual beings, having this incredibly interesting, amazing human experience, how we're connected to everything around us. Like how the elements, or what we call the Tattvas, make up our experience here on Earth, and even how we're connected to the moon in astrology. I'm even going to share a little bit of my skepticism around astrology, which might get me kicked out of the yoga community, but I just have to be honest about what my thoughts are. And then towards the end of the podcast, I'll lead you through the most important pranayama. Like every human being should know this pranayama practice. We've actually done it on the podcast before, but it's such a great foundational practice that we're going to revisit it. So it's the 3-part yogic breath. And then at the end, I'll share a little bit more about our free 5-day course if you haven't taken that yet. It's just an opportunity to connect with us and kind of deepen your practice, or maybe start to build a home practice on your own if that's where you're at. All right, before we jump into Ramtin's class discussion on the Tattvas, I want to give you a little bit of background information. It's not necessary for you to believe in what I'm about to tell you in order for the class to be beneficial, because he's talking more about the elements and how we can connect to consciousness. But I want to just give you some of the background information of kind of how the Tattvas fit into the broader yogic understanding of being a human being. So one of the basic tenets of most of yogic philosophy or spiritual teachings is that we are actually all one. So spiritually, energetically speaking, we are all connected. We all come from the same single consciousness or single God, whatever label or understanding you put on that is personal to you. But the underlying tenet is that we are actually all connected to one another and to some sort of infinite intelligence, some like master intelligence. And so as a human being, we don't experience that union automatically. Like we have to do things like practice yoga and meditate to experience that union. Because when we're born, we feel that connection, right? Babies don't quite understand that they're separate from the environment or from their parents. And so we do have some of that connection as infants. But as we grow, we experience more and more separation and individuation. And part of that is good for personal human development. But spiritually speaking, we have this union with the universe, with the infinite. And then we feel the separation, and that is painful to us because we're losing that Satnam, that truth of who we are. And so this spiritual journey, whether you do Kundalini yoga or any other practice, is really all about coming back to that union, coming back to that connection, coming back to that truth that you are connected to the infinite, to the universe, that we are all parts of a single whole. And the tattvas, or the 5 elements, play a role in this sense of separation, because through our senses, we experience these elements as almost like proof that we are separate, but they have different variations of the extent to which we feel separate. So I'll go through them as an example. So the elements are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So earth is like the most obvious element in which we experience separation, because the earth element also refers to our physical body, so our bones, our flesh. And if we are only tapped into that element, to that part of our experience, we would have like no clue that we're connected to anybody else. But then as you go through the elements to to water, and then to fire and to air, with each element, it gets a little more subtle, a little less separate, right? If you're sharing space with a human being or even a tree, you're exchanging breath. I think a tree is probably a better example, because as you exhale, it inhales, and vice versa. And so as you get into the more subtle elements, even the ones that we can observe, they start to give subtle clues about our interconnectedness. So that's kind of the background, very basic, background on the tattvas that might help shed some light on this conversation from Ramtin's class, all about the tattvas and how you as a human being are connected to what's around you. And the conversation, actually, we're going to jump right into the middle of a conversation, and he is talking about our connection to the moon.
So, as we become aware of the changes, in the planetary alignment, eclipses, retrogrades, new moon, has a lot of effect on our emotions. And we are 70% water. The tide changes, the full moon and the new moon. So what does that tell us? The reason I brought it up is to get into that awareness and understanding that we are connected. We are a part of this whole system. It is not a surprise or something out there or something that is foreign to us that, oh yeah, moon, and it affects us. How amazing is that? Well, it is in a way, amazing, as the connection, as we have been conditioned to think as an individual, and we have filled our awareness and conditioned mind with a lot of conditions, and see ourselves first and foremost as these physical beings that we are, which we are. We are first and foremost physical beings, but we all are connected to each other and to the whole the creation, the universe. And the universe is infinite. Infinite possibility. That makes us infinite in a way that as we connect to that realm, to that level of consciousness, we become infinite. And we learn here and there from, other personalities, other people who connect to different dimensions and different connections, have different capabilities. But again, first and foremost, we are this human being. And as human beings, we are right now we are not of this earth, but we are part of it right now. And part of our existence is comprised of the 5 elements, the 5 tattvas. There are 31 tattvas, and tattvas in Sanskrit and the teaching of yoga is the 31 levels and dimensions of creation. And we are part of that. And each level of creation is different consciousness. And consciousness is the key here, is the importance, is the basis. So we start with ourselves and notice where we are at in this body. What consciousness are we living in? And that consciousness determines our outlook of our life. How we perceive the world around us, it depends on the consciousness. And we start from there, a set point, reference point, and we move forward and expand our consciousness. As we learn, as we come to classes such as this, Kundalini, yoga classes, other modalities, other exercises, anything, we are expanding our consciousness. We expand our consciousness through music, through art, through exercise, through meditation, through our connection to everything that we experience. Part of the thought, the 5 densest tattvas that create this planet and us are the 5 elements, right? The 5 elements are earth, fire, water, air, and ether. And ether is the more subtle part. But the air, the atmosphere that we're in, really protects our consciousness. In order for us to experience time and space, in this consciousness, air was created. That's the intelligence that we are part of. Everything on this earth has a certain intelligence. There's intelligence in this wood. There's intelligence in this piece of, what is it, plastic? Whatever it is. There's intelligence in that. And the same particles that are in any stars out there, in your body, in your hair, in your nails, exist in here, formulated differently. So air is one the one we work today. And again, understanding that what the element of air brings to our existence. How can we connect with that consciousness of air and expand our consciousness because our behavior, our personality, our thinking patterns is all comprised of these 5 elements. And if we're stuck within our certain behavior, certain thought pattern, certain emotion, then there's some imbalance there. If you're always angry, you're fiery. Maybe too much fire element, right? You're going to cool yourself off a little bit. How do you do that? Dip in the ocean. How else do you do that? Same, way, but drinking more water. Watch your food, your diet. What does alcohol do? Makes us more fiery.
Or sad, right?
Yeah. So if you're, feel lethargic, lack of energy, maybe you're too held down by the heaviness of not having enough air element within you or water element within you. So you use your breath, breathing, air. You pay attention to the sky. So your level of your breathing brings the level of consciousness to your existence. So you could use your breath, the air that you bring in, to control the mind. And as you breathe more, as you become more aware of the breath, as you slow down the rate of the breath, you slow down the rate of the frequency of the brain, and you balance the negative and the positive mind, come into a more neutral set of mind, and you tap into your heart center. And tap into your heart, you tap into your heart chakra, which has to do with your lungs, your heart, chest muscles, this area. That's the heart chakra. And you're able to project from a different level of consciousness. More compassion, more kindness, more connection, less polarity. Polarity is needed for our existence, for our functionality in this three-dimensional world. But to create more of a connection, more of a union, more of a compassion and love, we need to tap into our heart center. And that's where we really connect. And part of the Kriya we're going to do is going to do that. It's going to help you tap into that heart chakra and connect to your breath, opening the lungs, opening the circulation. And when we do a certain Kriya, when we focus on any part, for example, either whatever chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, we have to open up that channel of communication and flow of energy systematically. So we're working the entire body. So the exercises and the Kriyas that are in it does that for us in a set of Kriyas. Okay?
Man, that discussion of the Kriya they're going to do really makes me wish that I was in that class. But he teaches actually while I'm at work. And so listening to these recordings that he does is such a cool way for me to, get to know him as a teacher, which is just so fun. But as I was listening to his discussion about the moon and, the mentions of astrology and how the planets have cosmic pull on us, I still, my mind is skeptical. I'm a skeptic about a lot of things. I was actually, grew up atheist. And so a lot of the spiritual beliefs that I do hold now, my mind will still question. And I think that's healthy. And I share that with you so that you don't get down on yourself if you're skeptic or if you're not sure that you believe in any of this stuff. That's fine. You don't actually have to believe in anything to practice Kundalini yoga. But in my experience, the more I practice, the more, spiritual beliefs seem reasonable and actually the only logical way that the earth operates itself, or that the universe operates itself. I guess it's not just the earth. So when I find myself in this mental debate about, is astrology real, or is this spiritual experience I had real, or this connection to angels that I feel, or this, card that I pulled, it's really easy for our minds to get us in this back and forth about what's real and what's not real. And that's just kind of a trap of the ego. That's your mind pulling you out of your connection with your true self, with your soul or your spirit or your heart, and your connection to the present moment. And so it's your mind latches on to this argument and gets you wrapped into is astrology real or not real? And, am I cranky because of Mercury retrograde or not? And that really distracts us from focusing more on our intuition and our experience. And so, for example, my mind can doubt whether the moon cycles has an effect on me, but I can't doubt the fact that, about every 3 full moons, I wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. Wide awake, and my body is get out of bed, and I'll get up and get some water or maybe read a little bit. And without fail, at some point, my eyes are drawn out like a sliding door or a window, and the moon is just full and bright and shining on me. And I get this wave of feeling loved or cared for, kind of that maternal feeling, you're being consoled by a mother figure. And that experience is real. And so that's kind of my share or my recommendation. If you have a mind like mine that is skeptical and kind of very powerful and can pull you into what's true or not true and what's real or not real, and Science hasn't proved it. Like, how do I know it's true? And it seems so far-fetched. Like, you can really just drop that argument and tap into your heart and your experience and your intuition and just feel your connection to the ground and feel your connection to other people and feel the impact of, like Ramtin was saying, like taking deep breaths and letting this air that is around us into your body. And whether your mind believes the impact of those things or not is really irrelevant. Your experience is not limited to your beliefs as long as you can refocus your attention on your experience and away from, the back and forth and arguing of the mind. So on that note, we will transition into our meditation for today. So the practice we're doing today is called 3-part yogic breath. And so this is really a foundational breathing practice. It is deceptively simple and incredibly powerful. So if you only learn one yoga pranayam, this should be it. And if you master this, if you practice this breath for like 1 minute, a few times throughout your day, it has the capacity to truly change your day. Just a minute, interspersed throughout your day can really change it up. And so as we go through the practice, I'll share some of the benefits, but let's get started. So wherever you're at, bring yourself sitting up nice and tall, elongate your spine, raise your crown of the head up into the heavens, open up your heart, let your shoulders relax down, and bring your chin very gently back. And so you feel like an opening in the back of your neck. So now that you're in this nice posture, bring your hands into your lap. You can hold them in Gyan Mudra if you like, which is thumb and fingertip touching, or just rest them palms open. And then close your eyes and practice with me. So start by just connecting with your breath the way it is now, feeling the inhale and the exhale. As you inhale, notice if your belly is expanding on the inhale. Your belly should be getting bigger as you fill your body with air. And as you exhale, your belly should be contracting. And now keeping this pattern on your next breath, keeping your eyes closed. As you inhale, fill up that belly. Make it like a big belly. It's fully inflated. And then once your belly is full, bring the inhale up into your chest. Have the ribs expand and widen. And then once that's full, there's a little more space up in your clavicle and your upper shoulders. Just a sniff of air up there. And then as we exhale, the shoulders come down, the ribs knit together, and the belly comes back to the spine. Doing that one more time, inhaling into the belly, filling the ribs, and then the upper chest. Exhaling, upper chest comes down, ribs come together, belly button comes back to spine. So continue breathing in this pattern, inhaling belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, and belly. Now continue breathing in this pattern, but try to feel that the segments aren't quite so separate. So it's like one big wave, inhaling belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, and belly. Continue breathing like this at your own pace. You can always focus your eyes at the third eye. You can always mentally chant the word Sat, S-A-T, on the inhale, and Nam, N-A-M, on the exhale. Sat Nam is a mantra we use to connect with our inner self, with our true self. Inhaling belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling chest, ribs, and belly. Let's take 2 more together. Inhaling that wave all the way from the base of your torso, expanding all the way up to your shoulders, sitting nice and tall. Exhaling all the way out, back the way the wave came. One more inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Inhale deeply now. Suspend the breath very gently. Squeeze your torso. Feel like you're squeezing energy moving up the center channel of your body, out the crown of your head. Eyes are focused at the third eye. Exhale, relax everything. Relax the breath, relax the shoulders, relax the face, keeping your eyes closed. Just feeling the vibration of this pranayama, of long, deep breathing or 3-part yogic breath. You return to your regular breath rate now. Keep your eyes closed as I share with you all of the benefits of this pranayama, and you'll understand why it's such a powerful but simple practice to just keep in your back pocket and sprinkle throughout your day. So this pranayama relaxes and calms you. It increases the life force or the vitality that's within your body. This pranayama reduces the buildup of toxins in your lungs. It stimulates endorphins, so it helps boost your mood. It makes you more alert. It gives you more energy. If you apply a mental focus like we did where you focus at the third eye, this pranayama also stimulates your pituitary gland to help you improve your intuition. This filling of the lungs all the way up to capacity helps expand your electromagnetic field or your auric field. That's your energetic field that kind of protects you. This pranayama cleanses your blood. It regulates your body's pH balance. It activates and clears the nerve channels in your body. It speeds up any emotional or physical healing. It gives you that objectivity that you need from your emotional experiences so that you can process them instead of have them, take over. It helps you break subconscious habits. It can help you fight addictions. And it gives you a greater ability to stay cool under pressure, like I was saying. You can go ahead and blink open your eyes, look around your surroundings, get reacquainted, express some gratitude for yourself for taking just a few minutes to connect with yourself, to participate in this practice. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 27 of the Heart-Centered Revolution podcast. We are so happy to be back and breathing some life and pranayama back into this podcast. We love it so much and are so grateful to have a way to connect and share these teachings that we love so, so much. A couple of things I want to give you a heads up on. One is our Instagram name changed. So we are now at Heart-Centered Revolution on Instagram. And I am going to at least try for the next couple episodes. I'm posting videos of the breathing practice that we did. So like this 3-minute, 3-part yogic breath, it will be posted on IGTV or on Instagram. You can just go to our Instagram account if you don't do IGTV, and you can see a video of the practice. They're pretty informal, but you can at least kind of see what it looks like. And so if one of the breathing practices doesn't make sense or you just want to do it again, that's a really easy way for you to connect with us and to do those practices more regularly. And if you guys like that, let me know. We'll do it for a few episodes and kind of see if it's something that is helpful to you. And just as a heads up, those videos I think will come out a couple days after the podcast episode is published. So the best way to probably keep updated would be to follow us on Instagram at Heart-Centered Revolution. And then the other thing I wanted to share, because I know a lot of you have found the podcast and probably haven't, connected with us online or through other ways, is that we do have a free 5-day Kundalini Yoga Essentials class or course. We used to do it live, so it was like you could only sign up during certain windows of time, but now you can sign up anytime. So it's available now. If you go to heartcenteredrevolution.com/free course, then you can sign up, and what'll happen is every day for 5 days, you'll get an email to your inbox, and it'll have like a 15 to 20 minute practice. And we cover like the basic fundamentals in Kundalini yoga. So even if you're brand new, it's a great place to start. So you can learn more about like how pranayama works, how mantra works, how the meditations work, and learn some of the like basic foundational practices. And then also if you've been practicing for a while, it's a good way to check your technique. So making sure that you're doing breath of fire correctly, that when you do Sakriya, you know kind of how to do it. And so we really cover those fundamental practices that will, in short periods of time can have a really big impact on your life. So we'd love for you to have access to those practices. Again, it's free at heartcenteredrevolution.com/free course. So we'd love to stay connected with you in any way that works for you. We love you so much. Thank you for being here. Sat Nam.